The Ryan and Ryan Power Hour podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.
Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise, playing in the street, gonna be a big man someday. You got mud on your face, you big disgrace, kicking your can all over the place, singing, we will rock you. We will rock you. We will rock you. All right.
Welcome in to Ryan and Ryan. Ryan Risky is going to be here any moment. And I'm Ryan Stuprich, and welcome into the show as we have a lot to do today. We haven't been on the air for quite some time, but we will be back on the air now as we discuss everything sports, the Ryan and Ryan Power Hours. Today at 12:15, so in about 8 minutes or so, we will have Joe Ostrowski from 670 The Score. He will come on to talk about a lot of the DePaul stuff that's been going on recently. I know that's close to home for me, maybe not for a lot of people, but that's definitely something I'm interested in, and we'll get Joe Ostrowski's take. He's been vocal about it on Twitter. And we will also talk about the NCAA tournament and what quite possibly may have been the most craziest day, at least first day, for these first rounds of the NCAA tournament, having two number 3 seeds go down within 45 minutes of each other. It was pretty insane. And then we'll also talk about the Cubs and White Sox with them, as spring training only has a couple more weeks left until opening night between the Cubs and Cardinals. So it's very exciting. You can call the show, 630-403-5200, 630-403-5200. And that's what Joe Ostrowski will be calling when he calls in at 12:15. And you can also tweet me personally at Ryan Stuprich, Stuprich is how you spell my last name. You can also tweet Ryan Risky, my co-host. That would be at rrisky16. Risky, spelled just like it, just like the actual word, risky. So there you go. Because we're going to do a quick segment now, and then we're going to go to break before we get Joe Ostrowski on. At halftime currently, Kansas is leading New Mexico State by 13 points, 36-23. That's pretty much expected. Kansas is going a far way. I'll pull out my bracket a little later on in the show, and we'll go over to see how I've done so far. I haven't done as bad as a lot of people, but I haven't done as good either. What really killed me, I would have been a lot higher up in a lot of the pools that I'm in if I had Ohio State over VCU, which I thought about, but I didn't pick. And with 8:39 left in the first half, Michigan State's up by a basket to Georgia, 16-14. So not a big deal there. And a little later on, at 12:40, so right in the middle of our show, Wyoming and Northern Iowa will be playing. That's a 12-5 matchup. And then at 1:10, it'll be West Virginia against Buffalo. So that's how that sort of goes for all that stuff. And then there's games, obviously, all through the afternoon into the evening. A lot of good teams, too. As far as the number 1 seeds, Duke plays at 6:10 against Robert Morris. And Wisconsin plays at 8:20 against Coastal Carolina. So those should be pretty easy, as Ryan Risky now joins us. What's up, Ryan Risky?
Oh, not much. I don't know if you discussed that Kentucky game yet.
Not yet.
We
were going to get to that.
I was actually on Twitter, and this is the beginning of the game, and 120 Sports made a tweet that said, "Upset alert, Kentucky's losing 4-3.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the only time that they were trailing. They absolutely killed that team they were playing. Who did they play again? I completely forgot.
It was a really bad team.
Yeah, well, obviously it was a 16 seed, so that's...
I did see the replay of that coach falling out of his chair when the sun hit the 3.
Yeah, isn't that
was
hilarious?
almost like a half-court shot that he made.
Oh, I know.
I didn't realize that it was like a half-court shot. I mean, that was it. I was just like, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty intense.
I didn't even, because I was just watching like the ABC Sports, I didn't even know that was the game. Like, that was like that was his son hitting the three. I didn't know it was that game until I saw the coach fall out of his stool.
Yeah, Kentucky, by the way, beat Hampton University by 23 points. So they had a pretty easy win there.
Wow, they literally cruised to a win there.
Well, all the number one seeds so far have cruised. At least Kentucky and Villanova both had.
Well, that's like a given that the one seed wins unless you're DePaul. Except
unless you're DePaul in the early 80s, then you can be the best team in the country, expected to at least contend for a national championship and then lose in the first round.
Although that wasn't six. There's no 16 seeds back then. It was only 1 through 8. So they do have that going. So a 16 seed has never won.
A 16 seed has never won, but an 8 has beaten a 1, and that's disappointing.
Like I wonder if there's ever been a school that just wanted to troll like a really good school that wanted to just barely make the tournament just so that they could be a 16 seed and win.
That would be hilarious. I don't think you'd see any of the big name schools do that. Let's see, a couple other games coming on later today. Indiana against Wichita State. A lot of people probably have Indiana in what technically would be an upset. Indiana really shouldn't have even made the tournament, and they got an at-large bid. Belmont against number 2 Virginia, so number 2 seed Virginia. That's going to be a good game for Virginia, hopefully. Valparaiso, Maryland. Now, that's an interesting thing. We'll talk with Joe Ostrowski about Valparaiso. The head coach of Valparaiso, he possibly, at least there's been talks, that he might take the DePaul job. I don't think he will. I don't know why you'd leave Valparaiso when you brought him to the tournament 2 out of 3 years. But
you don't think he could bring DePaul to the tournament, could he?
Not right away. And that it would take a lot. And plus, I mean, he's coaching in the Horizon League. Like, DePaul's in the Big East Conference. That's a top 5, top 6 conference that you need to, you have to have a good coach in there. Some of the best coaches in college basketball were in the Big East before they reformatted it. So.
It sounds like DePaul needs to fire all the guys that are in charge of recruiting players. That's
what I think, too. I think they don't necessarily... I mean, everyone in charge doesn't necessarily understand what it takes. Like, you need to hire the right people, and you need good recruiters. I mean, it's not so much about getting a good coach. You need a good recruiter. Because I think if you get that, you'll be able to keep some of the top talent in Chicago.
Right. Or if you had gotten, was it Bill Purnell? Was that their old coach's name?
Oliver Purnell.
If you had gotten him some good, pretty good players.
Right. And I mean, he didn't have any pull in Chicago. He couldn't recruit from Chicago. He was from the East Coast. He coached at Clemson and Old Dominion and some other schools out east. So I mean, he's not able to get Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, the recruiters need to do a better job. I mean, they're in a big conference, so the Big East, and they're really, really bad.
They're in the Big East, and they're in the city of Chicago, which at one point was the mecca of college basketball. I mean, now the top talent is still in Chicago for the most part, Chicago and New York anyway. And
the top talent is in Chicago. They just leave to go to out-of-state schools.
And they just leave. I mean, at least go to Illinois. At least go somewhere in state, somewhere where you can play either in the Big East or the Big Ten, or hell, if you want to play for Loyola in the Missouri Valley Conference, I don't know. We'll take a break, and we'll come back, and we'll talk with Joe Ostrowski in about 4 to 5 minutes. That's coming up next on Ryan and Ryan, SportsTownChicago.com. The Ryan and Ryan Power Hour Podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.